Yes, trying it a few times is important. One thing you find is what you've done over and over just is so comfortable. It comes so easy for you, and any new style is not comfortable. And don't take that as a reason not to actually do it. What you do is you just kind of keep working it until after a while it becomes comfortable too, and then you have a couple things that you can do strum wise. So just a little tip off there, especially with a style that really is of interest to you. It's worth spending the time to get through that uncomfortable period. Some of the styles you may not be drawn to, and that's fine. Um, so what we'll be doing today, going back a couple months, we had a fingerstyle song for Love Me Tender, right? And that was just picking one note at a time. I think that went something like this, something like that. And then last month, we had the sea shanties, and for Drunken Sailor, for instance, we had a situation where we did down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down. So now we're going to be doing something that's in between those two. So you have some choices there. So we'll take the Drunken Sailor strum and do a thumb stroke in the beginning, just on your string here. So then it's going to be. Now, Dougal was kind of already doing that in his Polly Wolly Doodle song. I couldn't hear anyone else, so I couldn't really tell. But let me give you an example. This is it's going to be timely for next month's because it's kind of a country sort of feel. Rodney has done this before on his banjolele, and it sounds really cool on the banjolele. I'm going to play a little Johnny Cash, I Walk the Line, so you can hear this kind of sound. It's sort of like boom, chicka boom, chicka boom, chicka boom, chicka boom, bass, chicka boom, chicka chicka chicka. Here we go. So let's just bring this up. I'll do a brief thing here. Do you hear that?
Not really hearing it much. I'm not. Anybody else?
Okay. So that's not really working then. I wonder where the mic is on the iPad here. Can you hear it now? I keep my clothes watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the tide to rise. Because you're mine, I walk the line. So you can hear the drummer in there. He's kind of going. Now, the strum we had with the sea shanties was actually and that doesn't have quite the same sort of accent. So if you just do a single note, then you're going to hear mostly chicka, chicka, chicka. So this much is a measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. So for Johnny Cash songs, he uses that a lot. I noticed it in Ring of Fire, Folsom Prison Blues, same kind of thing. So if you want that, this is a good technique for that. Now, I experimented around and tried being selective about what string I played, but I found really the easiest one is just always hit this string every time, and then followed by a down and an up with your finger. Now, if you kind of position your hand so when you do your strum, only your finger moves, then you'll be able to play fast. So notice my finger's just flicking like this. I'm not like moving my arm. You can move your arm, but you won't be able to play as fast. So if you just kind of train, let's just try this. Let's just play a C chord. I'm going to count it down. Remember, the visual image is going to be out of sync with you, but the sound, you can align with the sound, okay? So I'm not going to show you my uke because it's going to be out of sync anyway, but here we go. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. Okay, so that would be straight time, and these Johnny Cash tunes are in straight time. So the ones that are on our list that we do, I Walk the Line and Ring of Fire. You could use this particular strum on that. Ring of Fire is a little trickier because it has a chord that only lasts a half a measure in it. Mm-hmm. And if you were to deal with that, it would be just this much, right? Because that's a half measure. So if you attempt Ring of Fire with this strum, there's chords that just last for half a measure. It would just be this much. The song we'll do, though, I Walk the Line, page 138 of Big Yellow, is easier. There's no half measure chords or anything like that. So if you bring that up, we'll do that one. Notice that this is in cut time. It's got that little C in the beginning there with a line through it. So just like we talked about last time with what do we do with the Drunken Sailor, it's the same thing twice. Makes a measure. So I'll count this down. 1, 2, 1. I'm just going to go 1, 2, 1, and then we'll start singing. So 1, 2, 1. I keep a close watch. Right? Okay. So let's try it. 1, 2, 1. I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the tie that binds. Because you're mine, I walk the line. I find it very, very easy to be true. I find myself alone when each day is through. Yes, I'll admit that I'm a fool for you, because you're mine. I walk the line. Okay. Questions before we move on to the next variation? Anything? Okay. Looks good. So if you're a more advanced player and you want to experiment a little bit, you can actually alternate your basses. The trick there is to alternate the same strings in the same order every single time. So notice I'm playing the top string, then the next string, always, even though it's not the root of the chord always, it's a way trickier to keep track of switching it back and forth. So if you just do this one, and then you strum, and then this one, and then you strum, that'll sound cool. It'll be more to think about while you're singing, but an easy song like I Walk the Line would be a great one to try that out on. Okay. So remember Ring of Fire, same kind of thing. Actually, Rocky Top would be the same kind of thing. Rocky Top's got some more chords in it and it's quite a bit faster, but it would be the same thing. What I'd like to do is go to You Are My Sunshine, because that works really well with this strum, and we'll do Swing Time with that one. So that's page 279. Okay, so I just wanted to do this one to illustrate that you can make a swing time version out of this because you have some upstrokes in there. So remember, the difference between swing time and straight time is nothing if you're just doing downstrokes. So swing time sounds like this with just downstrokes. Sorry. Straight time sounds like this with just downstrokes. It's identical. The only difference is that when you do straight time, the upstroke is right in the middle of the downstrokes. When you do swing time, the upstroke is later. So because we're doing some thumb strokes here, notice this is cut time as well. So we would do just notice that upstroke there happens just before the next thumb bass, right? Okay. So let's just try a little bit of that, and then we'll plug that into the song. Let's do a C chord. 2, 1, 2. Okay. Let's try the song then. I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, and then we'll start the words, and we'll just go down through the whole song one time. This is an ideal one because there's not many chord changes. So remember, one measure is going to be that much. Right? 1, 2, 1. No, that's not right. 1, 2. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken, and I hung my head and cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Okay, so again, swing time's got this kind of feel. Straight time's got this kind of a feel. Okay, so You Are My Sunshine is a good swing time version. Polly Wolly Doodle is a good one that you can do. That could be swing time, actually, or straight time. And any country or Western song that you might decide to do next month, you might try this particular style out to see if your song sounds really good with this style. Try to pick a song, like for instance, You Are My Sunshine, not very many chord changes, so you can just really concentrate on singing, and a new technique in your right hand isn't going to be that challenging. If you've got a new chord every measure, that's going to be harder to try a new style on. So pick your songs wisely there, and then you can have another technique there. And I think, Rodney, you were doing this on the banjolele a month or two ago, and people were commenting on how cool that sounded. Does that seem familiar to you? Got to unmute.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I just strummed whatever I feel like strumming, really.
Right, and it sounded really great on the banjolele, and so I wanted to capture that and have that available for everybody if they want to put that in there. It's kind of a review of what you showed us there, but it's cool. Any questions there on what we covered? That's it, really. You can alternate the basses if you want to make it a little more fancy, or just keep it just that one bass string. Remember, we're just flicking the finger to strum. We're not doing the whole arm, unless it's a slower song, then you can. But like You Are My Sunshine is pretty fast, so if you're not moving your hand, you can go pretty fast.
Steve, would you tell me the name of what we just did? Someone said this is finger picking, but I'm confused. Does it have a name?
I am not aware of the name. It's kind of in between both. That's why the naming of it is not quite as apparent. You know, we're dealing with, well, you're picking and strumming. What do you call that?
Picking and strumming.
Bill might be able to enlighten us as to if this is like a claw hammer playing or not. He's worked up claw hammer quite a bit. Not sure it is that, but we can check with Bill next session.
Hey, Steve. Oh, go ahead.
Steve, I have another question for you.
Yes.
What if you have a high G? Does it matter if you have a high G or low G on the uke?
No, it doesn't. I tried it on a high G ukulele, and it sounded cool there too. It doesn't have that bassy sound, but let's say we're together and half the people have a low G and half the people have a high G. It'll sound great together. So with a high G, it sounds lighter, more like Rodney's banjolele sounded. You have a high G on the banjolele, and so it just what you hear mostly is. So even if it's a high note, that makes it even kind of better because it's not as heavy as the low G. It's just chick, 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 chick. It's like that. So it does sound cool, and it would work with everybody playing. Nancy, did you have a question?
Yeah, what about 3/4 time songs?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, this is really it's so cut time. I was wondering about 3/4 time. You're not going to get that boom chicka boom chicka feel to it. You'd have to have 3 counts, you know, so you got to have yeah. So it doesn't have quite the same boom chugga feel, but it still has that light first stroke. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Jig-a-jig, jig-a-jig, jig-a-jig. And if you leave off the last upstroke, so your downstrokes are counts 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Other questions? Raise your hand. Anybody? A very attentive group today. And I think that was very well done. You're already kind of doing this, some of you, in your playing. I don't know if you think about it much, kind of like Rodney, you know, your fingers come up with what sounds good with the song. You couldn't really describe it, but it sounds good. Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to bring it up as a style that you could just actually dial in consciously, because that's the sound you hear in your head, you know, like the Johnny Cash sound. All right, I think we're done unless there's any other questions. Very nice. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Very